All right, so Mary asked a question. She's trying to be self-directed, but they have a steep learning curve, is what she says. So she's kind of contemplating, hiring a guy for asset under management and going to like the self-directed route with Vanguard, Fidelity, and whatnot. So she has some questions. If I send an email to a firm, when should I expect a response? And so we got two different firms here. We got self-directed like Vanguard, and we'll say Fidelity. And then we'll say a guy that you're paying an asset under management fee, which could be Vanguard, could be Fidelity, but just we're going to use more of an RIA, like a local guy. All right, so if you're sending an email to Vanguard or Fidelity, I think the email response would be within 48 hours for sure. I mean, they got thousands of people work there, so it's not like it just goes to some dark place and some guy has a million emails lined up. I get. Just me, myself, it takes me now an hour. I mean, hell, I'm probably responding to emails almost an hour and a half a day now. You know what I'm saying? And that's getting a little bit too much. It's just me. And which is why some of you guys are emailing me these long-winded emails. I simply just don't have time to read it. I wish I did. I just don't. And so, I feel guilty not responding back. But just the emails, it's stressful. I'm not going to lie to you. And so I put some of them up. If there's a point that I can get to rather quick, I'll put it in my Q&A queue. But if it's this long-winded email, I can't tell where it's going right out of the gate. I just delete it because I just don't have the time. Vanguard doesn't have that. Fidelity doesn't. I mean, I have that, but they have a team. Again, dozens upon dozens of people to answer these emails. So that shouldn't be an issue. If it's a guy where you're paying a 1% fee or something like that, and assets under management. If you're a client, he's not getting back to you within 24 hours, 48 at the most. That's a problem. If I call him, how long should I wait for I have to get a call back? Well, someone should always pick up the horn when you're calling a self-directed firm, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab. When I was at Vanguard, this is back in 98, 99, I was taking 130 calls a day, and you can see there's this big thing that said the queue, and you can see there's 48 calls on queue. The average wait time was 2 minutes and 20 seconds and stuff. That sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that's still the case anymore. I just don't know. But I remember you looking at it, you're like, the queue is just ongoing, which is why they paid us huge amounts of overtime, which is why I was able to get those 130 calls a day, because working 12 hours a day just taking calls. You just saw all that queue. You're like, all right, there's more money for me. Just take the call. But it's frustrating because you never got outside. The queue was always there. So the question that comes to mind, 130 calls a day, that's for me, but that's 130 unique people we're calling. You see how the different dynamic works? So I'm just saying, boom, 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 go, go, go. But they have unique questions. And some of these firms, and USA was like this too. It actually still to this day still freaking tick me off. And I don't know if it's still the case. I'm sure it is. Call duration. They want you off the call as quick as possible. And I'm sure the same with all these other call centers, especially if there's a queue. There's just no getting around that. They want you off the call. And that's a problem, these self-directed firms, which is why you got to learn it, because if you're relying on them for anything other than just basic stuff in terms of, look, how do I, do this? How do I do that? They want to move you out, man. Move them on, move them out. AUM firms are different because you're paying a fee, so they should answer the phone, A. If they can't, you should leave a voicemail, and they should get back to you within 48 hours at the most for sure, because you're paying them a heck of a lot of money. How long should a phone call be? Seems like they want to get off the call. Yeah, I mean, at the call centers, they want to get off the call without question. I know that from experience. And I also know that not only do they want to, but they're judged on the average call duration. They're judged on average call duration. Shorter duration, believe it or not, is better for the call center. It's nuts. I'm sure I shared with you guys this story when I first got to USA, and I got to know a lady on one of my first calls, and this is where I almost quit that day. Anyway, long story short, I was talking to this older lady. Turns out I lived in Dayton, Virginia, and she had neighbors. She knew someone who lived in Dayton, Virginia back in the day. And turns out I knew them. I said, oh man, she lived in Virginia someplace, eastern part of Virginia. I can't remember. I said, oh man, I know them. And we had a good conversation. Lo and behold, that led to even a better conversation. Ultimately, she ended up bringing $800,000 to USA. I'm getting off the phone. I'm thinking, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because that was just going to be a quick call. But say, I just, basic. I say, hey, see, you're from Virginia. Are you native there? She goes, oh, well, yeah, all right. We just got to talking, and it led to an $800,000 acquisition, which is freaking fantastic. Not at USA. I'll never forget. My boss says that call took too long. I remember looking at him. I was like, what? I was stunned. I mean, I was like so stunned. I said, huh? He said that call should have been gone in 15 minutes because she just had some basic questions. And I say, but there was no queue, first of all. And I said, but she had some basic questions. I was able to put into, a 45 to hour long conversation and get an $800,000 account. He said, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to just, I was stunned. I'll never forget that. I remember looking at this guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but I said, you, sir, are a friggin' idiot. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking that. I remember calling my wife after I got off my critique with my boss. I said, I think I made a huge mistake coming here because this isn't what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, they are trying to get you off average call duration. Low average. If the lower your average call duration, the better for the call center. It's just all there is to it. They don't care about you. Unfortunately, a lot of AUM guys are like that too, Mary. Just a lot of advisors who take assets. I mean, I've heard this a million times too. It seems like my advisor just wants to get out the phone. And I'm like, I hear this all the time from clients. I'm like, I don't get it, man. You're paying this guy $10,000 a year. He can't take freaking 20 minutes to chat with you. It's the weirdest thing. They can't take you want to set an appointment. They're like, oh, I'm busy. I got 15 minutes. It's the weirdest thing. I was talking to a lady. She had like 800,000 something. It wasn't a million, but it was in the high six figures. And then she was paying, probably $6,000-7,000 a year for this guy. And he was like, just never returned her calls, only put her in like 15-minute increments. And then he had an appointment with this lady. And then he got off the phone saying, someone just walked in, I got to go. I was like, that's just rude. Don't hire rude people. If they're rude to you, get the hell out of there. Anyway, so yes, AUM people should not seem like they're trying to get off the horn. Call centers, they probably do for sure. If you have $10,000 or $5 million, will service be the same? No way. And it shouldn't be. The more money you had, when I was at Vanguard, you had the regular group, which is me. Then you had Voyager, which is 250 and above, and then you had Flagship, which is $1 million above. I don't know what their service levels are now. But basically, at Flagship, for instance, you had a select group of senior advisors, essentially. And so, instead of getting in the regular queue, you got to focus on this, a team of, 5-6 people or something like that. And you didn't have a queue that normal people able to go through. And you got to know who your advisor was. And if your advisors, in a plural, because it's like a team, if they weren't on, if they weren't able to talk, you would go to another team. It worked better. So the more money you have, the more services you get, without question. The less queue time there's going to be, if there is any. It's just the way it works, for sure. How do the representatives get paid? Do they have any incentives? So that's a great question. So I'll tell you right now. I mean, all these firms incentivize people. There's no other way around that. Vanguard. Actually, I don't know about Vanguard. I don't think Vanguard needs to, because Vanguard services basically sell themselves. Kind of like Tesla stock. Tesla, people want Tesla. You don't need you don't have to have the dog and pony show. At USA, at Schwab, at Fidelity, they all have fees, bonuses to refer you out to higher price advisors. I remember. I don't want to get too deep here, but let's just say, hey, Mary, you got $2 million. You know what I'm saying? And, this is our platform for do-it-yourself. But look, we also have these separately managed accounts. Now, they do charge a little bit more fee, but they'll never say that, right? But you should talk to them because they do this and they do this and their performance is this, blah, blah, blah. They're not doing that because they're altruistic. They're doing that because they're an incentive to send you that route as opposed to this route, without question. This is my concern about Fidelity and Schwab, frankly. They're doing these no-cost index funds as a loss leader, the way I look at it, in order to get you in the system, and then they can solicit you for other stuff later on. It's not a bad idea, frankly. Loss leaders to deepen relationships is not a bad sales strategy, but that's my concern is what they're doing. They say, hey, come on in. Once you're in, we're going to sell you like crazy. I've had people who are at Fidelity and Schwab aren't really getting solicited. They say every now and again they get solicited, but not much. And not anything where they can't, push back on. But there is incentive to get more of your wallet. That's a fact, and build fees from that. And you just always got to remember that. I'm not so sure at Vanguard, but at the other firms, absolutely. And some of these guys get paid good money. Like I had a guy, we left USA, he went to Schwab, good guy. I said, what are you doing over at Schwab? He goes, basically, I'm a traffic director. I said, what? He goes, look, people call in, they're not sure what to do. I ask them some questions. Then I say, you should go over here, which is the fee-based, where they get incentivized. And if they're adamant against a fee-based, and I send them over, I put them over here to self-directed. But I always start with fee-based because that's where they get paid. It's just all there is to it. Why do they just send me a link and say, take care of it? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I get a lot of self-directed. Like, that's it. You're self-directed. You got to figure out yourself. Here's a link for Roth IRA conversions. That's going to happen for sure. And I always say, look, just, it's going to sound rude, but if you got $10,000 and you want them to handle everything with kid gloves, it's not going to happen. It's just not. They're going to say, hey, here's how you do it, self-directed. Here you are, self-directed. We're going to show you how to self-direct. They're literally you with your $10,000 account. I'm not saying this is Mary specifically, are a loss leader to them. As such, you're going to have to do the grunt work yourself. It only makes sense, and you can do most of it just online anyway. Click, click. Roth conversions at Vanguard. Click, click. Done. It's easy, man. But if you want a lot of handle, then you're going to have to pay for it. There's no other way around that. And being self-directed at Fidelity and index funds, you are a loss leader. So you just got to remember that. But I hope this helps. The issue that comes to mind is a lot of people get nervous. And I think Mary's, here, like, I'm not sure I can do the legwork. Yeah, you can do the legwork. There's not, literally, it's not much to do. Now, when it comes to transferring of assets and all that, even if you're self-directed, those firms do it because you can't. You don't have the authority to reach out to the other firm. You don't have the authority. You are not the receiving firm. The receiving firm reaches out to the losing firm to make those trustee transfers or ACAS account transfers. You can't do that. So they have to do it for sure. And they do it. You don't have, most of the grunt work is just, opening an account. You just do it online. Click, click, done. If you don't know how to do it, say, hey, can you walk me through this? Oh, yeah, these guys are going to have people do that for sure. And if they get rude, say, I'd like to talk to your boss. No, I'm telling you right now, every single call center employee does not want that. They don't want to hear those words. I want to talk to your boss. Because I'm telling you, when I was in the call center, I used to have some people say, I want to talk to your boss. Every now and again, you always have some crank. Or to be honest, I took so many calls. Every now and again, I'd be in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying? I probably had, over the course of my 3-year career at Vanguard, taking thousands of calls, I probably had 3 times where people want to see my boss. And all 3 times was my mistake. I was just rude. No other way around that. But that's bad because the more they want to see your boss, the more your boss says, look, dude, if you can't handle this, we're going to have to get you out of here. It's just that simple. And some firms will say, if they want to see the boss, that is a big ding on you, if that makes sense. So anyway, hope this helps. Good questions. Thanks for asking.